I won't include any games that came to the Amiga first in my 50 favourite Mega Drive games list. This game gets a lot of mixed reactions. It was popular with me and my friends at school because most of the Australian population live not far from the coastline, and the surfing culture is just part of a lifestyle. Me and my friends would often go bodyboarding all the time during the warmer months, and I found this game fun to play. The skating segments, platforming. I found the music very relaxing. I'm surprised to see some people don't like the music. It has a relaxing, chilled surfing theme. The gameplay definitely hasn't aged well, so I'm going on nostalgia. Artistically, the beach stages still look nice, and I still feel relaxed when I listen to the music, and seeing the scenery makes me feel relaxed. Many of the happiest moments I've had in my life are near where the ocean is. Sword of Vermilion is a JRPG that was released early in the lifespan of the Mega Drive. I guess you could say its story takes influences from King Arthur and Camelot. The music for the game is incredible. It sounds like something from an 80s dark fantasy movie. Despite being made by a Japanese developer, the story is dark and focuses on death and destruction. Basically, your father is a war hero to the people in the village after a devastating war, but he's on his deathbed and you need to take his place and restore peace to the world. I don't like how the world map is set up like a series of mazes. There's a map. The battle system is fairly simplistic, but at least it's forgiving. If you fall in battle, you revive at the nearest church with all your health again, and you keep the experience points you earned before you fell in battle. The dungeons are also explored in first-person view. Some dungeons you can't see in them and you need to rely on your map, because it's totally dark and it's like guesswork navigate. The game is fairly long. The reason it's in my top 50 is simply because it is a JRPG that's there to play. Dungeons & Dragons Warriors of the Eternal Sun reminds me a lot of the Ultima games. Rather than relying on level grinding and plot twists, the story's there, but it doesn't try to be complex. Your characters are a bunch of gallant heroes who are out to do good deeds. So it focuses on things more like honor. The presentation is nice. I like the bright colours without it needing to jump the anime bandwagon. The music suits the theme, as you're a group of noble heroes out there to serve your king. The combat in the game is turn-based, of course. There's good, more open-style world map exploration. It's not a long game, it can be beaten in under 10 hours. Many critics criticised this game. They said it can't compare to the great JRPGs released around its time, but I think it's an enjoyable experience on its own merits. Zero Tolerance is an interesting game. It's a first-person shooter for the Mega Drive, and I came across it back in the 1990s. There was a time when console game reviewers encouraged people to stay away from console first-person shooter games because Doom was very watered down for SNES. But I gave it a try because I wanted to play something different. I like how, rather than just being another watered down port of Doom, Zero Tolerance is its own thing. You have a team of 5 commandos and you need to go around installations and kill all the aliens, basically. You control one commando at a time, and the other commandos don't assist you. When the commando goes down, you select another commando and take over. You need to rid all the aliens of a level before you can progress to the next level, and the aliens will swarm you in big numbers. And I had fun blasting away with a shotgun and other guns. There's some nice scenery in the game. You can see views of space and moons. Some people regard this game as a gem. I'll say it was fun to play and very unique. Speaking of games that could have been gems, Jungle Book is one of them. The Mega Drive version of Jungle Book is different to the Super Nintendo version. This game has fluid gameplay, visuals that match the book and film, but it's let down by some things such as its difficulty. It has no password system. If you beat the game on easy difficulty, you won't get an ending. I only managed to beat the game on normal difficulty once. For whatever reason, even if you do get to the end of a level, you can't finish it until you find a minimum number of gems. The hitbox for when you jump on enemies can be very inconsistent. Many of the levels are set up like mazes as well. You can throw projectiles though, and you have an unlimited number of normal bananas you can throw at enemies. But many animals will throw or spit or launch projectiles at you. The boss fights are fun though, such as King Louie and the giant anaconda. I can shoot beams from its eyes, and you battle Shere Khan, the tiger, of course. I have a soft spot for this game because I got it as a birthday present, and I did enjoy it. This game can be described as a cinematic platformer puzzle game. Its animation is stunning. Yes, the game is easy and offers very little challenge. But it's almost like a spiritual experience in the way you interact with the animals. You can use your spiritual connection with the animals to control them and have them do things for you to help you solve puzzles. You can solve environmental puzzles which you use to avoid enemies, as you'll see in a second. As I said, some of the animation is stunning. Herzog Zwei is regarded as the first RTS game. You can build robots, tanks, and you can use one aircraft that can transform into a robot. You capture other buildings that you can use to produce more units, and the more of these buildings you have, the more money and fuel you have. You need at least 4 robots to capture a building, and your aircraft requires fuel. And as you expect, you win by destroying all the enemy bases. I played this game in the 90s when I was very into RTS games like Total Annihilation, Dark Reign, Command & Conquer, StarCraft, and thought this game was fun. It has an 80s style of sci-fi, and it's simplistic and easy to get into. It got released before RTS games became popular, but for its time it was original and a gem. Earthworm Jim is such a memorable 16-bit platformer. Lots of crude humour, and plays like a bit of a run and gun, and the controls feel very natural, and you can use your body like a whip to hit enemies or to swing yourself to other platforms. It was a very challenging platformer, and I never beat the Mega Drive version of this game, but I beat the PC version because the PC version has a save feature plus extra levels, but I played this game on the Mega Drive first. The levels have fun themes such as New Junk City and a level that looks a bit like hell and the enemies are insurance salesmen, underwater cities, and inside giant hives. Truthfully, even though I don't like toilet humour, I enjoyed the Ren and Stimpy show because of the adult humour. And I enjoyed this game. I remember first playing it at my friend's house and I really enjoyed it, and I picked up a copy for myself because it was cheap at the time. It's colourful and has some of the humour of the show. The level designs are fun and a bit wacky and creative enough. Find it a platformer that's just easy to get in the mood to play, and even though it's on the easy side, it's fun and relaxing to play. As you can see, it's colourful. I think if you enjoyed watching the Ren and Stimpy show, you won't be disappointed with this game. Uncharted Waters New Horizons mixes a bit of RPG and sailing and trading using a naval crew in the 16th century. You sail around and explore other places, and the naval battles are done turn-based and there's experience points. So basically, it's an RPG set over the ocean and you use a naval boat. Its visuals might look basic even for their time, but when you're sailing the ocean, it does feel relaxing. The Uncharted Waters series is popular in Japan, and many Uncharted Waters games got released in Japan that didn't come to the West. Some Uncharted Waters games even got released for the Switch that haven't been released in the West. This game, which I won't try to pronounce its name, is a great platformer, and you use Donald Duck and he has a gun and can shoot enemies, but it's got a very colourful and light theme. The controls feel great. The game is on the easy side and has a password system as well, but it's fun. This game came to the Mega Drive 2 years before the SNES, and the SNES version is missing some levels, although the SNES version looks better. The shooting works fairly well. 16-bit era was a great period for Disney games, and this is one of the Disney games that I love of this period. I must admit, I liked Zombies Ate My Neighbours a lot more than I originally thought I would. It reminds me of those arcade top-down shooters. Of course, you're being chased by zombies and crazy people. To complete the levels, you need to rescue all the people in the levels. I guess they're your neighbours. The levels have a fair bit of exploration as you're trying to find where the people that you need to rescue are. The levels are set up a bit like mazes, and there's a bit of puzzle elements. You have limited ammo, but you can find more ammo. The game is easy, simple, fun. The game has style because some of the people you need to rescue are cheerleaders, neighbours who are just laying on a floatable in the swimming pool casually relaxing while zombies going around killing people, and some of the enemies look like Jason. When I played Shinobi 3 as a kid, I thought it was awesome and much better than the first two Shinobi games. This is a bit of platforming and I guess you could say run and shoot, but you throw shurikens, and when enemies are up close to you, you automatically slash them. Shinobi games are known for their difficulty. Shinobi 3 is easier than the first two games, and it even has a difficulty setting but even on the easiest difficulty level, later levels can become quite challenging. As a kid, I couldn't beat the game, but I still had a lot of fun with it. What's not to love about ninja and demons? For a bit of variation, there's segments where you'll ride a horse or use a fast hoverboard. In some of the environments are in factories, over the sea, besides just the forest. Some of my friends talked about the Lost Vikings when I was in high school. I usually don't play puzzle games much, but I was really addicted to this game. It's like a mixture of action and puzzle. The Vikings you control have different abilities which you need for puzzles and to take out enemies. There's a bit of platforming, there's a bit of combat. All of the Vikings need to make it to the exit for you to be able to continue. But don't worry, the game constantly gives out passwords. Even though you're using Viking characters, the game has a sci-fi setting. I found the game very easy to get into and very addictive, and it has charm. Shining in the Darkness is set after Shining Force 2, except this time the game is a dungeon crawler. Like with some other dungeon crawlers, you need to progress through one giant dungeon, and when you're low on health, you exit the dungeon, heal up, restock, re-equip, and try to progress further. This game doesn't have a map, so you need to create your own map. It's difficult but very addictive and has a nice anime style to its visuals. Turn-based strategy, and the story is a bit light. Then again, the Shining Force games weren't known for their story, they were known for their great turn-based battle systems. In this game you don't explore a world map, there's just one town and one giant dungeon, but like I said, trying to progress further and further through this dungeon is very addictive. You're just trying to rescue the king's daughter who has gone missing. The colourful story scenes and townspeople do enough to help lighten up things a little bit more. Many people are fairly critical of Jurassic Park for Mega Drive, and yes, the game has many issues. I enjoyed it. I actually first played it at a retail store, and it was near Christmas, and it just made the experience more memorable for me. And if you see my other videos, I'm an avid Dino Riders collector, so I love dinosaurs. So anything with dinosaurs is hard for me not to enjoy, especially if I experienced it when I was a kid. The levels were very tough. Then again, the game has a password system, and you can all play as Dr. Grant or as the Velociraptor. As you can see, the game mixes a bit of platforming and trying to survive against the dinosaurs. You're given some weapons you can use against the dinosaurs, but it's often better to avoid them if you can. Dinosaurs will come charging at you, chase you, swoop at you, and the T-Rex can eat you in one gulp. There's also instant death pitfalls, and like I said, it's a very tough game. But this was a time when you can enjoy games without beating them, and it's just one of the most memorable games I've played on the Mega Drive. Another memorable Disney game on the Mega Drive, and yes, it's a platformer and you're Donald Duck going on adventures. The gameplay has a smooth flow to it, and your weapon is a plunger. It just sticks to the enemies and disables them for a bit, and you can use it to help you with platforming. You can use the plunger as platforming levels. You can shoot it repeatedly. to move to higher areas. The game is bright, colourful, Disney, and it's fun. The levels have good diversity. Sometimes you're in ancient structure, in city areas, in the forest, and I also picked it up as a budget title and I was more than happy with it. Another platformer, Ristar, was developed by Sega, so you can see the influences from Sonic in its art style. But the game is really fun, its visuals are a delight, and Ristar can use his long arms for platforming segments, and he can use them to take out enemies. The gameplay, art style, and theme all feel fresh enough, and it was such a fun game to play. I remember during the 90s, I really had fun playing it at a department store first, and I rented it, and I just loved this game. I found Toe Jam and Earl 2 a very fun platform. It disappointed people because they wanted it to be like the first Toe Jam and Earl game, which is an adventure game with random levels. The original Toe Jam and Earl is one of the best games on the Mega Drive. Anyways, its sequel is a fun platformer nonetheless. It has style and groove, even though it's on the easy side. Even though I'm not a fan of the homie culture, Toe Jam and Earl uses it in a way that I like, and it's colourful in a comic style, but not over the top. Plus it has aliens and you're on an alien planet. There's a fair bit of exploration to do. It's not linear because you're looking for Earthlings. And there's some combat using projectiles and you can pound enemies to stun them. I found the game enjoyable. A sequel to Rocket Knight Adventures, the Mega Drive and SNES versions of Sparkster are different. Just like the original Rocket Knight Adventures, the Mega Drive version of Sparkster, it allows you to dash all over the place. There's hack and slash. The dashing has a very natural feel and you can recharge the dash thing quickly. You need to learn when to jump, when to use the dash against enemies, and you use it for platforming. You can travel up to very high platforms easily, which is fun. Honestly, I find the SNES version of this game more fun and it looks better, but the Mega Drive version is still very fun as well, and it's developed by Konami. FIFA 95 is an addictive game and it's also very fun in multiplayer. Before I played FIFA 95, I thought I wouldn't like a football game more than sensible soccer, but here is one that I like more. FIFA 95 is a simulation, so you can manage team strategy. Unlike in arcade soccer games, where when you pass the ball it always goes to another player on your team, in this game you need to be selective for when you pass the ball. You need to dribble the ball for a bit and wait for there to be an opportunity to pass the ball or for quality shots on goal. Cricket is a very popular sport in Australia. It's also played in England, New Zealand. It's very popular in the subcontinent and also South Africa. This game was a big improvement over Brian Lara cricket because you can customize the stats of the players, and if you give your batsmen very high averages, you can actually score centuries with them and hit boundaries, smash fours and sixes fairly easily. And same goes for the bowlers. You can make your fast bowlers be as dangerous as the West Indian fast bowlers from the 70s and 80s. The game also has a World Cup mode, and the game was named after the great Shane Warne, who was an Aussie larrikin and the best Australian spin bowler in history. This game is much better than the cricket game on the SNES. This game had to be my top 50 somewhere. Truthfully, my favourite version of this game is the Amiga version because it has more colours and more story scenes that are in the arcade version but are not in the Mega Drive version. The Mega Drive version has an extra level and better controls and more gameplay options though. As people say, this game would have made an awesome movie. A tyrant going around the lands and bringing death and destruction, and you can play as a barbarian, a female warrior, a dwarf, and there's magic. Like other 16-bit games, the Mega Drive and SNES version of Shadowrun are very different. I prefer the Mega Drive version because it's darker and grittier. Then again, the SNES version's great in its own ways too. It's a Western RPG, so it gives you more freedom, such as dialogue choices. You can murder innocent civilians if you want, but doing so will give you negative karma, and karma plays an important part in how you can level up your stats. You have more choices in how you want the story to turn out. The story is in a cyberpunk setting around the year 2050, after some wars happened and humans started using genetic engineering, and it caused some dormant genes in humans to awaken, so elves and orcs started emerging, and magic use is common. It's a very dystopian world run by corporations, and of course you're rebelling against these corporations and discovering conspiracies. I love sci-fi, and especially if it's something similar to Blade Runner, and I enjoyed this game because it's different. Rugby league and rugby union are different sports. Rugby league is popular in some parts of Australia, especially in Western Sydney where I grew up. In rugby league, the team with the football is allowed to be tackled 6 times, then they have to give the ball to the other team, but they often kick it after being tackled 5 times, and of course you can pass the ball backwards. The game has all the Australian club teams from 1996 and has British and French club teams. There's also international teams, of course, and you can play State of Origin. The game was fun to play. It was a little bit over the top in the way forwards could run over the top of many defenders. If you want to play a rugby league game at the time, this was a fun one to play. Now here's a game based on rugby union. In rugby union, when a player is tackled with the ball, his teammates and the opposing players will compete for the ball, and his teammates will try to shield the ball so other teammates can do something with the ball. I prefer rugby league as a sport, but when it comes to video games, I prefer playing rugby union video games over rugby league video games. Rugby union's a little bit more tactical because you need a good kicking game, because teams will often kick the ball away when they have the ball near their end of the field, because the other team could win possession of the ball fairly easily. And if you kick the ball out, but not out on the full, it has to land in the field of play before it goes out, you have a decent chance of winning the ball back in a line out, so there's more strategy. As the title suggests, this game has a World Cup mode, not just for 95 World Cup. You can create your own World Cup if you want, but no club teams. Crusader of Century has often been described as a Zelda clone, but it's a fun one. There's some things that make it feel different, such as you can have animal companions which give you advantages in battles. It has some creative boss battles, and I love its visual style. Its visuals look like something like maybe Earthbound. It's one of the best looking action-adventure RPG style games on the Mega Drive. Inside of buildings have detail, and there's nice variation to the environments. There's tropical, there's beautiful forest. What holds the game back a bit are its puzzles are easy, they don't make you think much like the ones in Zelda games. And the game is short and doesn't have the epic feeling of A Link to the Past. The original Rocket Knight Adventures is much better than the sequel, whether it's the Mega Drive or SNES sequel. Once again, you have fast dashing all over the place, platforming, hack and slash, and you can use projectiles and just fast gameplay. The level design and the gameplay in the original just feels better, and artistically it looks better than the Mega Drive sequel, and its gameplay just feels so fluid. The controls, they just feel natural, and the story presentation is lovely. This game is a gem and one of the best exclusives for the Mega Drive. Mega Bomberman is my second favourite Bomberman game after Bomberman World, which was a PlayStation 1 title. The Bomberman games are some of the few games I enjoy playing in multiplayer more than single player. The aim of the game is to trap your opponents and blow them up using bombs. In this game, you can find different coloured kangaroos, and the kangaroo can absorb a hit for you, and it can jump to avoid explosions, but the timing is delicate when you have explosions going all over the place. Yeah, this game is very fun when you're playing it in multiplayer. You can play this game with family or friends for hours and have a great time. The music is charming as well. Toe Jam and Earl is one of the most beloved games for the Mega Drive. It's because its levels are random and it has multiplayer, and the aim of the game, you just need to find parts for your starship, but because the levels are random, you have different experiences every time you play it. And of course you're trying to avoid enemies. The game has style, like I said. The characters act like a couple of homies, and the theme with space and aliens, it's got a nice comic art style. The game felt unique and fresh. This game was very popular with my friends at school, using a helicopter and blowing stuff up. Even though each mission has a set of objectives, you can stray off the path and do other things and fight enemies that you don't need to destroy, and do hidden objectives. Stages looked great for their time. Hawaii looked beautiful. New York had giant buildings that you had to navigate past, and Las Vegas had some giant casinos. And yes, you could blow up the buildings if you want. You lose points, but you can do it. The missions have variety, besides just destroying enemies, sometimes destroying bridges and capturing important people. You will at times need to switch to a different helicopter with bigger load capacity so you can rescue people that are in the ocean. There's also levels on foot, and when you're in ground vehicles, I'm not a big fan of those gameplay segments, but they're there. This was a game I could relax to because since it has a password system, I can just play through the game at my own pace. I don't have to beat the game all in one sitting. People who know me know I love the Echo the Dolphin games because I loved this game and the Dreamcast game Defender of the Future. The Echo games feel spiritual to me. They give a sense of escapism and ambience. They are artistic, and I like the theme that you're a dolphin who explores under the ocean and you're the only hope to defeat an alien invasion. As you'd expect, you'll interact with other sea creatures and you communicate with some mysterious crystals in the ocean. The game is known for its high difficulty, but it has a password system, and I could in a way beat the game because my friends gave me the password for the final boss and I just skipped to the final boss and beat it. Back then, if you called Sega Hotline or bought video gaming magazines, you get the passwords for many different levels. Even though Castlevania Bloodlines isn't quite as good as Super Castlevania 4 for SNES, Bloodlines does have some things I like about it, such as it takes you to multiple places around the world, such as Italy and Greece, not always stuck in Dracula's castle. Plus I think the environments in this game look nice. You can use multiple characters with different abilities. The gameplay in Bloodlines is a little bit faster than in Super Castlevania. Either way, this game is a gem. As much as I enjoyed the Mega Man games on the NES and SNES, I'll take Gunstar Heroes over them any day. I love the fluidity in the controls in this game and the shooting mechanics. The game has a high amount of accessibility. There's unlimited continues, there's a difficulty option, and the way the game plays, it's easy to pick up and play. Look at the way the weapons work. It's easy to hit enemies with your weapon fire. Like I said, the controls are fluid and it's about the shooting, not tricky platforming. The Mega Drive version of Mortal Kombat made many people go out and buy a Mega Drive because the SNES version doesn't have the blood or fatalities in it. And when Mortal Kombat was released at the arcades, it was a massive hit and it was the game everyone wanted to play, and same when it came to consoles. Yes, I know the SNES version looks and sounds better as usual, but the Mega Drive version plays better, its controls are noticeably better, and the SNES version has noticeable input lag. Honestly, I got this game first for the Amiga, long story, and the Amiga version is pretty good, but the Mega Drive version looks a little bit better. The Amiga version has better music. The Mega Drive version runs smoother than the Amiga version, and the Amiga version has the blood and fatalities like the Mega Drive version, but you don't need to input a code for the blood and fatalities on the Amiga version, so I even like the Amiga version more than the SNES version. I mean, what is Mortal Kombat without the blood and fatalities? Beyond Oasis is an action-adventure game, and yes, there's a bit of Zelda influence in it, except Beyond Oasis has more fluid animations, and its combat has a combo system and is fairly technical. Its summoning system adds depth to the puzzles. The story isn't memorable though, despite its nice Arabian theme, and its world doesn't have many interesting places to visit, despite its visual style looking nice. Nonetheless, it's easily one of the best action-adventure games on the Mega Drive. Same old story, the two games included in this package, Street Fighter II Champion Edition and Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting look and sound better in the SNES version named Street Fighter 2 Turbo. However, I prefer the button layout of the 6-button Mega Drive controller because it's the same as the Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet button layout. It just feels more comfortable for me. Anyways, I remember how popular these two games were at the arcades back in the 90s, and I spent a lot of money and time playing them at the arcades. Here we have a game from an Australian developer. The music is amazing. It reminds me of an 80s dark fantasy movie. You take control of one of 3 warriors, but make no mistake, this isn't just a Golden Axe clone. This game has RPG elements. You can upgrade your armor and use items such as healing potions. You can buy items or find items. You can use magical equipment on enemies. There's a fair amount of platforming, and the dungeons have some puzzles. You can't just mindlessly hack and slash either. You have to learn the patterns of the enemies, otherwise you will take a lot of damage from the enemies. This game was popular with my Australian friends in high school. I love American football, and I've been a Miami Dolphins fan since the Dan Marino era. I started watching American football back in 1992. Madden 95 is my favorite NFL game from the 16-bit era. I played the Joe Montana games, and I played Mutant League Football, and I played Madden 95 and 96, and I like 95 the most. Joe Montana is in this game, and Dan Marino, of course, John Elway, Warren Moon, Steve Young, Troy Aikman, so many Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Jerry Rice is in this game, Emmitt Smith. I like how the game plays. The focus is on strategy and utilizing your blockers. Even though Madden 96 plays smoother and allows you to lateral the ball, I like this game more because of its roster. We're getting into the cream of a crop now. You can see the production values in Shining Force. Has some of the best turn-based strategy in the 16-bit era. The likes of Final Fantasy 4 and 6 and Chrono Trigger didn't get released for PAL region for SNES, but the Mega Drive got Shining Force and Phantasy Star games, so I'm very appreciative of the Mega Drive being able to give me great JRPGs to play. Sega were involved in the development of this game, so you can see its production values. There is a little bit of world map exploration, but the focus is on turn-based strategy, and there is a grid system. The Shining Force games are very accessible because if your party gets wiped out, you keep your experience points. In my opinion, the best beat 'em up of the 16-bit era. I think the game plays better than the likes of Final Fights, yes, even more than Turtles in Time, because its controls are tighter and it's more technical. I like its more neon version of a dystopian city that's overrun by corrupt corporations. Me and my friends loved playing this game multiplayer. Guess what? The SNES version of Mortal Kombat 2 looks and sounds better than the Mega Drive version, but the Mega Drive version plays better. Where have you heard that before? In all seriousness, I'm not sure whether I like the Mega Drive or SNES version more. Either way, this game is one of my favourite fighting games from the 90s. The Mega Drive version does have better controls, but the SNES version plays fine and is a little bit faster and has more colours and sound that's more accurate with the arcade version. But I played the Mega Drive version first, since I owned a Mega Drive before SNES. Mortal Kombat 2 took what made the original Mortal Kombat great and made the fatalities even more brutal. The Phantasy Star series grew on me on the Mega Drive because the stories are linked in one way or another. Phantasy Star 3 is actually set 1000 years after the events of Phantasy Star 4. It goes for a more medieval setting and is often seen as the stepchild of the series. I enjoyed it because it had creative ideas with multiple generations of characters. Who you choose to marry has a big effect on the story. The game has nice character artwork and beautiful music, and the game tones down on difficulty because Phantasy Star 2 was very difficult. The story isn't memorable, but if you replay the game and marry a different person, you can have a different story experience. And going for a medieval setting was a nice throwback and made it relaxing to play because Phantasy Star 2 threw sci-fi stuff at you. Shining Force 2 took everything that made Shining Force 1 great and made most of those things better. Better visuals and more exploration. It also improved the inventory system, although some people prefer the characters in the original Shining Force. Shining Force 2 is my favourite turn-based strategy game of a 16-bit gen. Objectively, Phantasy Star 4 is the best Phantasy Star game, but there's a reason why there's a Phantasy Star game that I like more than Phantasy Star 4. Phantasy Star 4 is set 1000 years after the events of Phantasy Star 2, and Motavia has gone back to being a barren desert, and it's an emotional experience because in Phantasy Star 2 it was a lush tropical haven. Story-wise, there's no doubt Phantasy Star 4 has the best story in the series. It has great character arcs and plot twists, and you really care about the characters. Its battle system allows you to do combination attacks and automated attacks. Yes, the sound in Super Street Fighter 2 for Mega Drive sounds horrible, but again I prefer the 6-button Mega Drive controller layouts. Either way, Super Street Fighter 2 is one of my favourite fighting games of the 90s as well. In case you're wondering, my favourite fighting game of the 90s is Street Fighter Alpha 2, but I have the Saturn version. Super Street Fighter 2 introduced 4 new diverse characters: a Jamaican kickboxer, a huge Mexican native guy, a British female assassin, a Bruce Lee inspired guy, and made the fighting more diverse, and fighting in new areas such as in Jamaica was nice and the music was relaxing. Chun-Li is no longer a pushover. Same goes for other characters. Even though Phantasy Star 2 isn't objectively the best Phantasy Star game, it's my favourite because I played it first, and I like seeing when Motavia was a lush tropical paradise where people had easy lives guided by an AI that made decisions for them. It sounded like the type of utopia I wanted to live in. It was also the first JRPG that I played, and while the Ultima games got me into RPGs, Phantasy Star 2 got me into JRPG. As I said earlier, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger didn't come to PAL region for SNES, whereas Phantasy Star 2 did, and it got me into JRPGs. It showed me how great and creative and eccentric JRPGs could be, mixing anime influences and a story driven by science fiction, Phantasy Star 2 felt so fresh. Even if you look at the aesthetics of the buildings, they're colourful, and the weapons, you see the characters using laser weapons in turn-based strategy. And Phantasy Star 2 set a standard for character-driven stories. I owe a lot to Phantasy Star 2. World of Illusion is one of my favourite 2D platformers ever. Yes, it's on the easy side, but it's relaxing to play. Even though it's short, I want to keep coming back to it over and over. I just love this game. It captures the magic of Disney perfectly. The 90s and 16-bit era were a special time for Disney games. The game also has co-op. You can play the game as Mickey or Donald, and even though most of the levels are the same, there are some differences in the levels, and playing it as Donald is a little bit harder. And as Donald, there are some beautiful tropical levels when you play as him. The platforming and gameplay in this game is fairly creative, and you defeat enemies not by jumping on them, you use your magical cape. I keep coming back to this game over and over again because I love it. The game does have fun and creative boss fights. This music brought a smile to my face when I was 9 years old. Sonic 2 gave a lot of speed. You go insanely fast in some of the levels, especially in the Emerald Hill and Chemical Plant, and it was awesome fun. The other zones have some unique gameplay twists. Emerald Hill is so colourful, Chemical Plant futuristic, there's Arabian themed zones, forest and rural mountainous, and high-tech military installations high in the sky, and city ruins, some of them underwater. I've played through this game many times and it's in my top 30 favourite games of all time because it's just so playable. As some of you might be aware, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles were originally meant to be one game, but because of marketing reasons they were released as separate games. Put together, they're close to being the perfect 2D platformer. Sonic 3 and Knuckles may not let you go as insanely fast as some of the levels in Sonic 2, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles has better power-ups, such as power-ups that make you invulnerable to fire, as well as a bubble that stops you drowning in water, and some power-ups will make rings be attracted to you. They will come to you when you're near them. It has great levels of its own, such as the beautiful Angel Islands with its beach opening scene, and there's the Sandopolis zone, which is Egyptian themed. A floating city is set. Sonic 3 and Knuckles has a much needed save feature because Sonic 3 has a save feature but Sonic and Knuckles doesn't, but when they are put together the save feature carries over. I also forgot to mention the mushroom forest with the giant mushrooms that send you bouncing everywhere. This game is just so fun. Every time I play it I'm still wowed about how awesome it is. Like many of the games on my list, I make sure I have a physical copy of Aladdin for Mega Drive because it's my second favourite 2D platformer ever after Super Mario World for SNES. I must have played through this game thousands of times and I keep coming back to it. I love it. It captures the magic of the movie perfectly. The animation, the way the levels look, the level designs, the music, even the story scenes. The gameplay feels so smooth. It has a bit of hack and slash to it. You can't defeat enemies by jumping on them, but I think that's a good thing. And You can also use apples as projectiles. You can use your sword to deflect enemy projectile attacks back on the enemy. The platforming is fun and creative and matches the feeling that you're going over the Arabian rooftops. The infamous escape stage always keeps me on the edge of my seat. Once you memorize the stage, it isn't so bad. If I can get past the escape stage, I'm pretty much guaranteed to beat the game, because the rest of the game is easy for me, but I love it. It's still fun to play. The music for the escape stage is incredible. It makes you really think Aladdin is up against death-defying odds. But he's brave and he won't give up. The stages in the game have a nice touch, they have a right blend of colours and have a nice feel of the movie. There's an entire carpet riding level where you need to dodge boulders, but if you fail at it 3 times, you automatically skip the level. The other carpet riding segments are fun, and like other Disney games released back then, if you beat this game on the easiest difficulty, which is practice, you still get to see the ending. And I remember when I was 10 years old and I beat the game and I saw Aladdin and Jasmine riding the carpet together in the ending with a whole new world song playing, it brought a tear to my eye. To me, this game represents something that's magical and playable. So that wraps up my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, growing up in Australia, the Mega Drive was more popular than the SNES. Anyways, take care.